I'm pausing then reacting. Okay, let's watch the Prince Andrew video. We've already seen this one, but I think it's a re-upload. But I think it's worth watching again because it's so fucking good. Also, JCS is back, baby.
Just as the United Kingdom's unwritten constitution has evolved over the centuries, so has the role of the British monarchy. At present, different people are likely to see the purpose of the royal family in different ways. Many say its duty is to prevent the corruption of government and to remind elected politicians that a higher sovereign is always watching. Others say it simply makes financial sense, viewing its role as the British version of Disney World and asserting that it brings in more money than it costs the British taxpayer each year.
This is false.
Some, however, believe that it has no purpose, only the ridiculous notion of outdated traditions and class entitlement, and that the revenue from tourists is simply a myth, presenting the statistic that Chester Zoo has more visitors each year than Windsor Castle. But whatever your views on the royal family are as a whole, it's always a good idea not to generalize, as each individual has their own moral compass and personal character.
A little extra you could do is show Chaz some extra videos from a content creator that they can watch themselves. What? Dude, again, we're having a conversation about we're having a conversation that is a problem that does not exist. It's a group of individuals that are pushing for a problem to exist when no such problem exists. JCS is one of those great examples, right? Where you're asking me to do shit. You're asking me to do shit that most content creators are not expecting, where they are where people will say oh, you don't promote these fucking channels. You hide what these channels are. You make it seem like you own the content. It's no, I don't. Of course not. And I do promote the fucking channels. We do it all the goddamn time. JC has literally just tweeted at you telling you to stop watching, bro. You're a 22-month subscriber, man. Why do you think this is fun? Why? Why do you want this?
An example of the more virtuous side of the spectrum could be the two central princes. Prince William does a considerable amount of work for charity, which includes helping impoverished children in underdeveloped countries, while Prince Harry volunteered to fight for his country and served 2 tours of duty on the front line in Afghanistan, not to mention the meaningful significance of his matrimony in 2018, especially when you consider that interracial marriage was illegal in the United States no longer than 52 years ago. Yet where there is prosperity and promise, corruption and controversy are never afar, and we need to look no further than a single week to find a prime example. Many are already familiar with the current circumstances, but for those of you who aren't, here's a quick rundown. On the 8th of July 2019, 66-year-old hedge fund manager Jeffrey Epstein was arrested on charges of sex trafficking and child sex abuse. The story exploded into the worldwide media, mainly due to his high-profile social circle, which included Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and Queen Elizabeth's son, Prince Andrew. But one of the more bewildering facts of the whole situation, and something most were unaware of, is that Epstein had already been convicted as a sex offender for over 10 years.
Could you please give us your name?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis? One witness described...
Bro, look at that nussy, dude. Can you just, for a brief moment, forget everything else and just hyper-focus on my man's nussy? It is literally, he's wiggling that, dude. Look at that. He is literally wiggling and jiggling that shit. Look.
Egg-shaped penis. One witness...
God damn, bro. He's got that fucking turkey neck, dude. Holy shit. All right, let's continue.
...described your penis as oval-shaped.
You know what I don't believe about Jeffrey Epstein's, quote-unquote suicide? Which is not real. He did not fucking... He got suicided. My man has enough neck meat like a fucking mastiff, dude. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? You know how mastiffs have, that crazy amount of fucking stretchy-ass skin? That skin actually makes them impossible to fucking defeat in combat. One of those dogs that's hard for me to actually fight in hand-to-hand combat. That's why they're war dogs. They have gullets. Their skin makes it impenetrable, okay? Jeffrey Epstein has like fucking mastiff skin around his neck. That's crazy. Makes it even less likely that he suicided himself.
And claim when erect, it was thick towards the bottom, but was thin and small towards the head portion, and called it egg-shaped. Those are not my words, I apologize. But as Mr. Critton has stated, that this is a...
His original charges were 4 counts of unlawful sex with a minor and 1 count of sexual abuse. But his high-end attorneys managed to whittle it down to just 1 count of...
Why are you spreading conspiracy theories? We've covered this numerous times. Jeffrey Epstein, if you think Jeffrey Epstein actually committed suicide, you're a fucking idiot. And you know that that's stupid, and you're just saying it to get me to bait me here. Okay, permanently banned a 13-month subscriber. You will now have 30 fucking days of silence in the chat, or you can even beg the moderation team to be, unbanned. Okay, it's just if you're this long in the community, I will fucking clap your ass cheeks. Okay, if you are in this community for this fucking long and you're still trying to fucking bait me, I'm gonna clap you.
Procuring a minor for prostitution, and he served just over 1 year in prison. While Trump and Clinton allegedly cut ties with Epstein after his arrest, Prince Andrew continued the relationship and visited Epstein multiple times at his properties both in the States and also on his private island in the Caribbean, where he allegedly partook in what the media dubbed orgy parties with underage girls who were solicited for sex. One of the alleged victims even went public, stating that she was trafficked and then forced to have sex with Prince Andrew on 3 separate occasions. A photograph of them together surfaced in the media, and many consider it to be substantial evidence to back up the allegations. On the 10th of August, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein died under extremely suspicious circumstances, with his death being officially ruled a suicide. This only added fuel to the fire, and the public scrutiny aimed at Prince Andrew intensified over the following months. Then, on the 16th of November,
and now
he
we
made
get to the best part.
decision to address the allegations in a televised interview.
We've come to Buckingham Palace in highly unusual circumstances. Normally, we'd be discussing your work, your duty. We'll come on to that. But today, you've chosen to speak out for the first time. Am I right in thinking you threw a birthday party for Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Sandringham?
No, it was a shooting weekend.
A shooting weekend?
Just a straightforward shooting weekend.
The expression on his face is as if he's been accused of something, but the interviewer had only asked if he had thrown a party. It's as if the word party has some damnatory connotations to it.
This is one of the greatest interviews that I've watched like 8 times at this point. I've watched the JCS version of it. I've watched the video myself. I watched it pretty much live when it first came out. It's one of my favorite videos of all time because it is... You will rarely ever see someone in a position of prominence like get brutalized and get hoisted by their own petard this aggressively, okay? Just so perfect, so poetic. It is just fucking awesome.
Hence the worried look, as well as his assertion that it was just a straightforward shooting weekend, whatever that is.
But during these times that he was a guest at Windsor Castle at Sandringham, the shooting weekend, we now know that he was and had been procuring young girls for sex trafficking.
We now know that. At the time, there was no indication to me or anybody else that that was what he was doing.
He was released in July. Within months, by December of 2010, you went to stay.
By the way, we are watching JCS's second channel, okay? Not their main channel, but their second channel. Once again, we're watching the Prince Andrew's Guide to Getting Away with Sex Crimes. This is, I believe, a newer version of the older video that they had on the Patreon. For the subscribers only on Patreon, they've released this for the common folk to also consume. We will continue playing the video, and I'm going to go do a quick pee-pee, okay? But I will be watching and reacting while I go do a quick pee-pee, simple as. All right, I know that a lot of you want a BRB screen. not any of you in here, but a lot of people on the internet say, please throw a BRB screen when you go pee-pee. Well, I will be back in 1 minute, in less than 1 minute and 30 seconds. Start your engine shutters. There will be no P-cam. I will be back, simple as.
With him at his New York mansion. Why? Why were you staying with a convicted sex offender?
Right. I went to see him, and I was doing a number of other things in New York at the time, and we had an opportunity to go for a walk in the park, and that was the conversation, coincidentally, that was photographed, which was when I said to him, I said, look, because of what has happened, I don't think it is appropriate that we should remain in contact. And by mutual agreement during that walk in the park, we decided that we would part company, and I left, I think it was the next day. And to this day, I never had any contact with him from that day forward.
He didn't leave the next day. He stayed at Epstein's residence for 4 days after. It must have been pretty awkward staying at someone's house for 4 nights after telling them you want nothing to do with them anymore.
What did he say when you told him that you were breaking up the friendship?
He was what I would describe as understanding. He didn't go into any great depth in the conversation about what I was doing or what he was doing, except to say that he'd accepted whatever it was, a plea bargain. He'd served his time, and he was carrying on with his life. You see what I mean? And I said yes, but I'm afraid to say that's as may be. But with all the attendant scrutiny on me, then I don't think it is a wise thing to do.
This is all so fascinating because the only person who can refute his statements is now dead, and in Andrew's mind, he has free rein to come up with any justification he pleases, but he's about to be caught out.
That was December of 2010.
Yep.
He threw a party to celebrate his release.
I actually don't know, like, I still don't understand how, like, they decided that they would be able to get away with this. Like, BBC, I feel like, aren't they fucking disgusting royalists too? For the most part, that was 1 minute and 40 seconds, not 1 minute, sub 1 minute and 30 seconds. Sorry. Okay, I apologize. My time off task, dude.
And you were invited as the guest of honor.
Oh.
Hasan, what the fuck was that? Hasan, 2-hour essay coming your way, buddy? I know.
In 2010, that certainly wasn't a party to celebrate his release in December, because it was a small dinner party. There were only 8 or 10 of us, I think, at the dinner.
He once again seems to be very anxious and panicked by the word party, and according to Andrew, having up to 10 people over doesn't classify it as such, making it the more acceptable dinner with a convicted sex offender, rather than the deplorable dinner party with a convicted sex offender.
If there was a party, then I'd know nothing about that.
You were invited to that dinner as a guest of honor.
Well, I was there, so there was a dinner. I don't think it was quite as you might put it, but yeah, okay, I was there at a dinner, yeah.
I'm just trying to work this out, because you said you went to break up the relationship, and yet you stayed at that New York mansion several days. I'm wondering how long.
But I was doing a number of other things while I was there.
But you were staying at the house of a convicted sex.
Bro, honestly, if you're like a member of the royal family, you should get training to know how to lie. Like, obviously, if you're a member of the royal family, or in general, if you're like a human being in general, like, just don't fucking do nonsense, right? I mean, but like, if you're like, well, it's my absolute darndest heritage, like, I must do nonsense. I must do it. It's compulsory. It's impossible for me to stop. If that's like your take, then, you know, then at least learn how to fucking lie, kind of.
Offender.
I was in the non-sex trafficked part of the house. Yes, everyone knows famously that I was with the prolific sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, and I was in the part of the house where the sex trafficking was not occurring.
It was a convenient place to stay.
By the way, that's literally the Alan Dershowitz defense. That is actually what Alan Dershowitz said, dude. He's like, you know, I might have hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, but I always kept my underwear on. He literally said that.
And I admit fully that my judgment was probably coloured by my tendency to be too honourable, but that's just the way it is.
Ah, yes, the struggles of being too honorable.
I love this. It's awesome.
So he made the honorable choice to take a secret 4-day vacation in a pedophile's mansion.
This interview has been exceptionally rare. You might not speak on this subject again. Is there anything you feel has been left
it's
unsaid
too much honor
that you would like to say now?
No, I don't think so.
This was the perfect moment.
By the way, it's the honorable thing again is to have sex with sex trafficked minors. Okay, that's the honorable thing to do, and then also the honorable thing to do is just not be able to end that relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, facilitated in that. That's great. It's real honorable shit. But the worst part about it, like when I've been a fucking huge, like, I've been talking about this shit for a very long time. And now, because I went to a fucking brothel, whenever I bring this shit up, people will be like, oh, dude, you literally did that. You are Jeffrey Epstein. I went to a brothel in 2010 that got raided in Berlin. That's still in operation, Artemis, a very famous brothel in Berlin, that got raided for tax evasion 10 years after I went there. Okay? That's how fucking psychotic swerves are. They're like, you are literally Jeffrey Epstein. Like, you're doing that.
To express sympathy for Epstein's victims, yet he was too self-involved and focused on self-preservation to even realize it. This interview had been an attempt to salvage his reputation, yet backfired in a manner that his legal advisors most certainly would not have anticipated.
Not just swerves, just your haters.
Now I'm the king of the swingers, oh, the jungle VIP. I've reached the top and had to stop, and that's what's bothering me. I want to be a man cub, and stroll right into town.
It's true.
And be just like the other men. I'm tired of walking around. Oh, Scooby-Doo, I want to be like you. I want to walk like you, talk like you, you see it's true.
What the fuck was that? If you want your house to smell like fall, boil some orange peels. Diddler on the roof? Oh. Dude, I don't... Oh no. Kitty fiddler on the roof. Yeah, I mean, I thought that this community especially was like in unison on Jeffrey Epstein definitely did not fucking kill himself. And yet, for some fucking weird reason, last time we talked about it, because this community loves watching the news, okay? They fucking love watching the news. Like, it's their favorite thing to do. They love watching the news and repeating whatever the fuck they see in the news. Like, they think it makes them extra smart when they fucking read the New York Times and repeat exactly what they saw in the New York Times without any sort of fucking skepticism whatsoever. And then they get mad when you're like, hey, that sounds really weird. Like, there's a lot of information and a lot of details that normally would be featured in a piece like this that is not featured in this piece. Like, don't you think that that's strange? They're like, you fucking idiot. You're stupid. Only 10% of chat thought Epstein kills himself. You said 10% of truckers with no vax was a minority. Yeah, it was 10%, but they were, oh, you're right. It was 10% of chat, just like the 10% of truckers, which we are going to talk about.